Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday live stream. It's a strange day because we've got inflation up, crypto is up, and everything is up except the traditional market. And here's what's going on. So first of all, if you're not aware, CPI numbers came out for the macro environment, and we can just see that the core CPI year over year. I don't know if you can really see this. This isn't some market watch, but this is what we had last time, 3.2%. And of course, this is the consumer price index. And we're taking a look at year over year. And the expectation was that the government, or excuse me, not the government, Federal Reserve, which is as Federal Express, they were doing their job, and it was actually down to 3.1%. But that would all change because if we take a look at it right now, we're at 3.3%. That's core CPI year over year. Now, CPI year over year, it was supposed to be, it was 2.9, supposed to go down to 2.8. That was the expectations. Now we're at 3%. So what's going on? Well, inflation's up. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Inflation is up, and that's just where we're at. And it's a very strange time because right now, the market reacted, and I think this is a very, dare I say it, a somewhat bullish indicator. Don't roll your eyes too much. Don't roll your eyes too much. But come on. You go from 96,000. Right? You get this report that came out 9:30 in the morning. Remember 96, 94, and people bought. People bought like crazy. So congratulations. I personally did not. I'm sitting on the sidelines right now. The risk bands are not to my liking, but I've done reasonable accumulation in the bear market. That's what we have. So we can see that Bitcoin. It's not just Bitcoin, and depending on when you watch this video, we could collapse in another hour. That's the crazy thing about markets. They are irrational. So right now, people may say that this is rational because Bitcoin is the future, and I stand with you on that one. But look, when you have inflation going up, and who knows what's going to happen in the short term to the long term, anything could be a possibility. Bitcoin's up 1.8%, Ethereum 3%, BNB almost 10%. Over the last 24 hours, and things are looking good. Even the last hour, things are looking pretty good. 0.9, which I did not expect whatsoever. So that's what we have in the crypto market. Then we take a look at the traditional markets. Look at this. Down. And of course, this is one of those things where, 0.23% for us is, I don't know what that is. That's a Monday at 12:05. And of course, for the traditional markets, it's awful. 5 days, looking pretty bearish. But when we take a look at a month, all right, 6 months, 1 year. And it's one of those things that, traditional markets does a really, I think, a poor job, which is zooming out because they're just so focused on like these little time minutes. Not everybody, but I got to tell you, it's just an odd thing because usually when the traditional markets go down, the traditional markets sneeze. And of course, Bitcoin digital assets just get a full-on flu. But that is not the case today. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a turnaround. Again, I don't know when you're going to watch this video. Of course, those of you who are here right now that's live, you can say, yeah, it's going to keep it going up. But it's all in the play. So we'll see what actually happens. And then Jerome Powell came out today and said, look, CPI data shows we're close, but we're not there on inflation. I got to tell you, I don't see where he's coming from. If the target rate that we can see here is 2%. I got to tell you, I just don't see where he's coming from. I just don't get it. Let me see here. Overlay. There we are. Because if you take a look, this is the CPI year over year in percentage points. And we can just see that inflation back in 2022, which is right after the coronavirus, year previous, we were at 9% as far as price difference year over year. And we can see that we did a pretty good job. Fed did a good job, good enough. Down, 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 even though with all the money printing it was doing, but a little tightening going on there. But we can just see that we were doing in a pretty well stance as far as inflation or CPI going down. We had 3.7, 2023. And then to September here, we were at 2.43. And that's when everything stopped. And then we uptick a little bit, 2.5, a little bit 2.7, 2.87, and now we're at 3%. So I don't know what Jerome is talking about here as far as we're close. I mean, I guess if you take a look at 2 or 3%, but let's be honest, we're going in the wrong direction for inflation. We'll see what all pans out. So that's what we have for the CPI data. Very strange place. And I got to tell you, it's like I've said before, the markets are irrational sometimes. I mean, it's like sometimes they focus so much on CPI and traditional markets, and then we're like, well, that's just how it is. But then in our markets, things just take off, which is very rare. Usually it's been in tandem. So we'll see if it can actually keep going that way. I personally still feel like the 4-year cycles are intact until someone comes out here and says, no, Rob, the 4-year cycles have totally collapsed. And we're going to keep going down to zero. Show me some data and I'll change my mind. But so far, this is where we're at. Yes, I understand the altcoins aren't coming back as fast, but I think we got time. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And then also, Jerome Powell did say this yesterday. I just thought it was interesting. I'm going to have you listen to it. He talks about if banks can serve crypto customers and what they want to do. And if you've heard about Operation Choke Point 2.0, Jerome is on board with that. And I got to tell you, that's pretty good. So yesterday he talked about, yes, he is against CBDCs. And here he is talking about how he's going to step aside and let banks do their job for people who want crypto digital assets. So take a listen to this.
There are really two things that are happening. One is banks are serving crypto customers, and we don't want to get in the way of banks serving perfectly legal customers as long as they understand the risks and that sort of thing. We don't want to single out any particular.
Are you speaking to custody?
Yes, custody. Great. Hopefully the banks can do their job and actually have a real service that people will use. Just kidding. Banks do pretty good. And I know some people will say, well, Rob, how can you get with the banks? I mean, look, I know they do fractional reserve lending. I know that's an awful thing. But when people need a loan, I will say they do have to go to the banks. Now, the only thing that concerns me about banks and crypto, that's not the loans. It's the fractional reserve part. And if they can ban the banks doing that, I'm all on board with it. But if they don't, it's just going to be a decline over time, especially as the banks do their shenanigans in the background. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then lastly, before we get into a little Q&A, companies will rally around each other that are putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Here's what I'm talking about. Japanese gaming publisher Gumi, I think I said that right, announces plans to buy $6 million worth of Bitcoin for treasury. I know what you're thinking. Who cares about $6 million? Not a big deal. Well, I'll get to that in a second. So Gumi revealed that it became the first publicly listed Japanese company to participate as a validator for Bitcoin staking protocol Babylon in the second quarter. I don't even know what the heck that is. Ending April 2025. Why is there a staking protocol called Babylon? And they're into that, and they're also into putting on the balance sheet, staking Bitcoin. Okay. Gumi's board of directors approved the purchase as part of its strategy to strengthen financial operations within its blockchain-focused business, which has become a central pillar of the company's growth. According to Babylon's website, Gumi has almost 8 Bitcoin, which is 770,000, which is funny because when I got into crypto in 2017, it was roughly like $8,000 per one Bitcoin. Then it went to 12, then it went to 20, then it crashed all the way down to 3,500. And now we got 7.99 Bitcoin worth over $770,000. Let that sink in if you're thinking like the gains aren't there. Notably, Gumi's website reveals the company is already a node operator for 8 blockchains, including Ethereum, Sui, and Avalanche. And I got to tell you, that's a smart move. Get on board and get all those free tokens and then dump them on people when you need to. Japanese gaming publisher as a blockchain unit responsible for efforts mixing games and non-fungible tokens. Gaming companies Capcom and Double Jump reporters given partners. So why did I just talk about this? First of all, a Japanese company, another one comes in and says, we're going to put Bitcoin on our balance sheet. Great. What does that come from? I think it comes from this. Japan's financial service agency is considered approving Bitcoin ETFs, but that's not the big thing. They want to cut crypto taxes from 55% to 20%. Where the heck are we in the world where you're taxing your citizens for something they invest into at 55%? That is crazy. But that's apparently what Japan was doing. Hopefully they drop it to 20%. That seems a little bit more reasonable. And this is on the heels of MetaPlanet. And like I said, companies will start rallying around other companies that put Bitcoin on their balance sheet. Why? Because it's good for all the companies for Bitcoin's price to go up. Michael Saylor just tweeted this out yesterday. You should probably follow MetaPlanet. Who's MetaPlanet? Well, it's that company that put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, which has to do with hotels. And because they did that, MetaPlanet's share price rises 4,800% as company stacks Bitcoin. And there was just one little piece about this. According to a presentation of its Bitcoin plans, the number of MetaPlanet shareholders grew 500% in 2024, with 50,000 people or entities investing in the company. Its market cap grew by more than 6,300% during the same period. All I'm saying is this. If you're a company and you're struggling, I don't know if you've taken a look at it. Nick over at Coin Bureau had a really great post, and he took a look at MicroStrategy back in the .com era when it rallied all the way up above $20, $30, whatever it was at that point. Then it crashed down afterwards to around $2. And it stayed that way for roughly like 20 years until it bought Bitcoin. And then, of course, we all know where the price of MicroStrategy is now. I'm taking a look at this and I think to myself, this is what companies will try to do, and it'll be a smart play. They'll just start stacking Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Then, of course, if we get this strategic reserve, which everybody keeps talking about, I don't know what's going to happen, then we're off to the races. And then if we have a sovereign wealth fund, what do you think is going to be in that wealth fund? Probably Bitcoin. So I'm just saying, I don't know what you're investing into, what you're doing. Might be a good opportunity to take a look at BTC, even though it's down today. And there was two more things I want to talk about real quick. Trump plans to nominate Brian Kintons. I think I said that right. He's from A16Z, but that's not the case. I don't. If you've been around a while, Brian was the former head of the CFTC. This is what was said. So if he's going to be a part of the CFTC and we kicked out Gensler on the SEC, what do you think is going to happen for regulation? Probably get pushed through pretty quickly, especially as commodities or CFTC oversee which digital assets are commodities. And this is the statement. I congratulate my friend Brian on his selection for CFTC chair. I work with Brian on important initiatives that he led to success when he was a CFTC commissioner. He will do the same for crypto and innovation. If you don't remember, Brian was heavy favorable for crypto digital assets. I say that at a little bit of trepidation, as I remember Gary Gensler also taught digital asset technologies at MIT, and he was a horrible choice. At least with Brian Kintons, I think I'm saying that right. At least with him, we know where we're going to get because he's already been in office and he was already pro-Bitcoin and pro-digital assets. I look forward to supporting Brian in his leadership at the CFTC. And then, what is this one? Oh, there's two more things. I know we just talked a lot about Bitcoin. I just want to throw a bone to the altcoin community, which I own altcoins as well. I own Ethereum and such. But I found this interesting. If we're going to take a look at smart money, here we go. Goldman Sachs boosts Ethereum ETF holdings by 2,000%. Bitcoin ETFs to 1.5 billion. Goldman Sachs increased its spot ETF by over 2,000 to 476 million in Q4 2024, while its Bitcoin ETF stash more than doubled. And you may ask yourself, well, Rob, that's great, but why is the price going down? It's anybody's guess. We just talked about the irrationality of the markets. This should not usually happen like this. And now here we have with Goldman Sachs increasing their Ethereum holdings. Maybe it might be a chance to look at Ethereum. I think it's heavily oversold right now. And then lastly, before we get into the Q&A, that's not bad, 14 minutes. Supply shock. 2.5 million Bitcoin left on crypto exchanges, signal supply shock. Can we stop saying this? Can we stop bragging about this supply shock and talking about how it's going to come? I've been hearing about this since 2017. It still hasn't happened. I think it's the most goofiest thing I've heard so far. Yes, it'll happen at some point, but man, I'm sick about hearing about it. So that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Everything we talk about is time sensitive now. If you want to stick around, we'll do a little Q&A, answer all your questions, and we'll go from there. What do we got? Whew. First of all, Mondo, love the show. Thanks. I seen you made it for first. Congratulations, Mondo. You made it. That's great, man. Danny Garcia. Bitcoin up, then down, up and down. So better call it sideways, boring sideways. Alts is still down. That's true. Alts are still down. And a lot of them haven't even hit their all-time highs from the previous cycle. Genshin says portfolio down negative 40%. Not bad. No, not bad at all. 40%. It'll be okay. Well, it depends. Depends on actually what's in that portfolio. And the quote of the day, I saw this. It was pretty funny. Random dude says, turns out the only thing I went to the moon was my head. Crypto made me bald. It's tough out there. It's tough out there. All right. 312 girl. Nice shirt up. Do you or your wife pick that out? No, my wife has long since stopped trying to dress me. And yeah. Well, usually in Puerto, I gotta, just between us, I usually don't wear these types of shirts around Puerto Rico. Usually it's a t-shirt, flip-flops, and shorts. Unless I have to do like a closing or meet with people, then I'll dress up. But usually it's flip-flops and shorts and t-shirts. This is the only time I actually look reasonably well. Just fart going. Richie, question. Damn it. Thoughts on the ADA ETF? Let's see if it gets approved. I hear rumors all the time, and most of them don't come through. Early in the cycle, people were claiming we're going to have a left translated cycle. That was actually Bob Lucas. And then everybody just picked up what Bob said. I'm thinking that what if we have a right translated cycle happening in late 25 or 26 million towards this? Me too. I like that. We'll see what happens. And if you look at it in a positive way, you're like, well, on the good side, I can still, dollar cost average or try to get into these different price points before things really go up. Things will glow up. Things will go up. Markets don't go, that's not true. I almost said markets don't go down forever. That's actually not true. If you're in bankruptcy, they do keep going down. So bear markets don't last forever. Neither do bull markets. So just remember that as you're thinking to yourself, yeah, is it ever going to go up? Yes. Does anybody know when? No. There. Richie had a question. Richie, question, can you take out the old cheat sheet and show us where you think we are? Richie, which one are you talking about? I don't know which one that is. So if you can remind me, jog my memory, I'll definitely do it. Thoughts on Ondo? Isn't BlackRock into that? Real world assets? I think it's going to do well. Amy says, are you getting your World Mobile Token node today? No, but I'll tell you who I talked to today. I talked to Mickey Watkins, and here's what he said. He's rolling out that nationwide telecommunications plan. So you know how you got Helium Mobile on Solana? Well, so Helium Mobile, they actually just piggyback off of T-Mobile's towers, right? I don't have any problems with that. Do what you want to do. It's great. It's cheap. It's like $20, I think, something like that. But with World Mobile, they're making their own infrastructure. And they're essentially they're an MNO, a mobile network operator, like a pure one. So I was pretty excited when he sent, we texted, he said, hey man, we're going to roll out this project, probably the, middle of the month, maybe the end of the month. I'm like, great, let's do it. And I go, hey, where do we stand with the launch? He says, well, tomorrow and then Friday, I'll give you access. You can check it out. The login needs to be audited because we want to be safe. We'll keep you updated. Great. So we'll see. As far as the node, I don't have it. So you got to talk to Mickey and see if I can get one. All right. No point dressing up for Scruffy. Yeah, that's right. Ben says we have to wait for QE. Who's Ben? Actually, I'm going to see that guy tomorrow. It's guys, don't forget tomorrow. It's me, Ben, and the Cryptoverse, and Guy from Coin Bureau. We'll do the NFA live show. I had a really special guest lined up, but he had to back out because his lawyer told him not to show up. But it would have been a good one. Maybe next time. No nuts. Good one. Preston Pish just interviewed a company providing Bitcoin-backed loans and zero liquidation risk. If the dollar value of Bitcoin drops by adjusting the interest rate, how does this work? Future topic. Looks interesting. I'm not that guy to do loans on Bitcoin anymore. I did that with other companies and it didn't work out too hot for me. I'll let everybody else do it this cycle. And then if it works out and they're able to make it through the bear market, then I'll trust them. But until that time, that's the HE double hockey sticks. No, not going to do it. Think about all the companies that made it through the bear market and really start to look at those guys. That's it. Like, I mean, look at iTRUST for the Roth IRA. I mean, they weathered the storm pretty well. Coinbase did a pretty good job. Binance had their CEO, CZ, step down because of U.S. legal interference, and they took him to court. But Binance is still there. So again, if these companies make it, I'll take a look at them, but I'm not going to be the first. Nobody wants to be the first, but nobody wants to be the last. Disbelief. That's a good word. Yes. Study bug. The market once took 25 years to be profitable again. Makes you think. What Study Bug is talking about is the S&P 500 going all the way back to the 50s and 60s, and it was a pretty wicked time. Let me show you. This is a good case study. You think to yourself, well, that seems kind of long, Rob, and you're right. So many years. So this is the S&P 500 90-year historical chart. And we're going to see, let's see, I don't want, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, 1968. I was way off. So you see here, from November 1968, when the S&P 500 topped. Let me zoom in here. So we topped here in 1968, and then it had a crash. Actually, that's not right. November 1968. November. Seems like everything tops out in November. So we had a big dump, right? That's a 30% correction. Wow. That is pretty big. Well, 25%. Yeah, 30, roughly, 28. And then it rallied a little bit, but it didn't hit its all-time high, and then it dumped even harder. And then it went up, and it dumped even harder and harder and harder to the 356. You're at a 66% downturn. And it didn't get back until Reagan in 1987. But remember, in 1978, 79, America itself had a huge problem with inflation. And that's where we talk about Volcker and Burns and Fed chairs and all the different shenanigans that they were doing. It was a rough time. It was a really rough time. So then you come up to here and blink. There you are. So those time frames are tough. But I'm going to inject one piece of my own personal history and mess ups, which is this. If you take a look at, I got into traditional equity and stocks in November 2021. Remember that time frame? Oh, it was awesome, right? Everything was going great. Great. Unfortunately, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Actually, it wasn't. This isn't a really good way to explain it. Where do we go? So November 2021, I wasn't in S&P 500. I was in specific stocks. And they didn't do so hot over time. One of those was Amazon. Another one was Tesla, Mara, Airbnb, and Coin. And I got into those because those are the things that I knew about. And I thought that would be pretty good. And I didn't really check on it too much. I saw that I was losing a little bit. I never got to buy up during the bear market. One thing you'll notice about this is that even though you had this great time right here and you came down here, there's still opportunities to buy around here and then sell as things go up, because that's where my number 5 rule is: take profits. So if these people here, of course you can buy the way down, that kind of sucks. But if you would have been buying over the 5, 6, 7 years, you could have taken profits as things come up and then drop here. But imagine all this time. Actually, it's 1974 to 1982. That's a long time. Imagine 8 years. Imagine, here's 8 years of just buying in the trenches, right? You're like, it'll never go up. But then coming from here, it's like 2, 3 years later, now you're in the positive. Now you're really making gains. But it's just a long slog. Again, this is the S&P 500. It's very boring. Crypto moves much faster than that. But the point of it is this: if I would have bought during the bear market, not just crypto, but in equities, I would have been way, way better off. But I didn't. I messed it up. And now I'm just up just a little bit as opposed to up a lot of it. All right. Unity Warrior. Do you think an altcoin season can happen without QE? Well, it certainly would help. And liquidity would help. But we took a look at it. It's not like, I mean, it'd be great if they ended the quantitative tightening. It'd be great if we had quantitative easing. But it's not like, I think we talked about this on Sunday. And I said, even though we had quantitative easing all the way through, did we not have quantitative easing in 2018? Did we not have quantitative easing in 2019? Didn't we have a bunch of it in 2020? Didn't we have quantitative easing in 2022, 23, and 24? We did. All that time. 2024 is not probably a good example I'm trying to say here. 2022, we saw a massive drawdown when we were printing money like crazy. So it's not like it is the end all be all. It sure as heck helps. But I'm just here to tell you, if some big major war comes out, or we have another pandemic or whatever the heck they want to make up in the future, all the quantitative easing is not going to really help too much. It's going to get us to where we want to go, but we're going to pay a price later. And I still say that there's a recession coming. It has to come. It's just take a look at the inversions. Hey Rob, that's the first day of the full moon. Watch for the pump. Historically, February's when the bull cycles are up months. That's true. February, if you've looked historically over the past 4-year cycles, 2013, 2017, 2021, and those 3 years, February was a monstrous month. So far, our February has been sucking. So if it finishes off the month and we're in the red, it is a different one. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate it. I love catching your live stream. Watch your content. Almost religious. Thanks for being here. Who's SB? Yeah, SPF, exactly. Bailey says, I always miss the NFA live because the gym's more important. Master Blaster. Why is World Mobile even a thing when Starlink Wi-Fi direct to cell phones is already here? I don't know how that actually works, but I know that World Mobile, they use them as backhaul. And they're actually, I'm not going to say it's a partnership. I know they have done things in the past. So it's a little bit different, I think, than what they do. And then also it's price. I know that World Mobile just signed a contract. I think it was in Thailand, 14 million users. And to give telecommunications and talk, text, and data to rural areas. So yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as Starlink, I suppose, but I mean, there's a way different price structure. Okay. Andrew's got a CPA question. Rob, I understand I can gift $18,000 per year to my kids and is retroactive for 5 years. Are you aware of this? I would like to seed kids' college fund with Bitcoin. There's different ways you can do it, actually. I don't know about the total amount. For some reason, I was thinking it was 12, but maybe I was off on that one. But it's also the same thing with that and your wife. You can give your wife gifts in monetary easements. So take a look at that. And CZ went to jail. True. I think it was only for 3 months, though. And apparently he got really good at push-ups. So that's good. Thoughts on Ben's casino video from last night? I didn't watch it. I just commented on the post. I have to watch that tonight. It was a great thumbnail, though. I see Ben's really liking the Chat GPT option. Hey, Naz is here. When do you think we'll see the next leg up after March FOMC meeting? Just depends. You know, it's a funny thing because every time we think that it's like we're going to have a really bad, awful time frame, things do the exact opposite. When do I think? Let's take a look at the meeting dates. And really it comes down to, is Jerome Powell going to cut rates? I don't see why he would. Why would you cut rates when your inflation is going up? Cutting rates are inflationary. So, and of course, why would he do quantitative easing? Quantitative easing is inflationary, obviously. So as far as like, if you're looking at those two things ain't happening. The only other thing that we'll see how it works is tariffs, sovereign wealth funds, and reserves. Let's see. FOMC, back to what I was talking about. No. Let's see what we got for... So this is the target rate probabilities of them lowering 2.5%. So we got meetings on 19th of March. Oh yeah, there's not one in February. 19th of March, no, not one in April, then May, June, July. Yeah, we'll see what happens in March. I doubt it. If this is the probabilities for March, for them to cut, then I don't see why we would have much of a big rally. Thank you. Dat boy, Kevin. There's no such thing as a supply shock because the 200,000 people will sell is more supply. People will sell more supply. Well, yeah. That's just it. I just think it's a nice narrative to put out there. It's very clickbaity, and it works for a lot of times. I know some people say, no, it's a reality. Like, really? I'm sure it is. Finally caught a live stream. Nice. It's a good question. Anyone here to able to get their FTX money back? And I think it was pennies in the dollar. Good day. Hey, Naz. Thrive. I can't spiel. That's okay. Unity Warrior. How do you stay so calm throughout this crypto market? It's like my third one. And I followed my rules as best I could. Those. So if I can I knew that I'll never hit the top. I'm not that smart. But I knew that if I could take the profits when I needed them and I was actually up, then I should take them and put them in other things. So I know, like, if you're new, just stick around. That's it. I mean, yesterday I pretty much said, like, if you can't take it, just get out now because it's going to get worse. And I was wrong on that one. Actually, it was a pretty good day. But it'll get worse. And if this bothers you, then 20% drawdowns are going to bother you a whole heck of a lot. But if you just stick around and can take it, it doesn't really bother you at all. Because you've been in the game for so long, you're just like, oh, well, there's 20%. So I have my choices. I can sit on my hands and do nothing, or I can buy a little bit. One of those two. I'm not going to sell into weakness. I'll sell into strength and just keep going forward. Andrew Dixon, I'm unable to take profits. Yes. Well, there's two reasons for that. Either you're not in profit, which a lot of people are not on some of their altcoins, or it's just very hard to do. And I know that, like I talked about this before, like it's like muscle memory. You know, if you can do certain actions repetitively, it becomes a part of you, right? So like when I say talk about taking profits, even if you're taking like a small fraction of a percentage, just do it. Just do it at some point, because when things start really going crazy and high, and one of your altcoins is up 5x, 10x, 20x, you're like, should I sell? I have never done this before. It's going to be much harder later on. I know Q1 to Q4. What is QE? Quantitative easing. It's a very fancy word for saying money printing. That's pretty much it. Also known as a shorting. I'm rooting for the AI. Too much money on all the S coins, maybe. Robsta Lobsta. Please read this. My best friend's name is Rob. Great. Yes. Cheney says, hey, Dan, we're close now. You consider taking profits before the sell in May and go away? You know, I was talking to Wes back and forth from Smart Money Tracking. He's already sold like 80% of all his alts. Like he's pretty much out. And he did a smart thing. He invested into real estate, I think in Dubai. And the sell in May and go away, he was talking about how the stuff that he has left, he's going to sell in like maybe March to front run everybody to front run all the people in April who are front running the people in May. I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, we'll go. I probably take a little bit of profits here and there. See what happens. We're slow learners, Rob. Nah, I doubt it. I think everybody's pretty reasonably smart here. Yeah. No BS, no clickbait. I really should start doing more clickbait. It would probably help with the number of people that watch the videos. Starlink to T-Mobile on the beta waiting list, but it isn't really here yet. Oh, okay. Man, what does Elon Musk not do? Rob say it, Trumponomics dumped the market. It wasn't Trumponomics. Let me ask you a question. If Jerome Powell came out at the, well, actually it'll be at the congressional hearing yesterday, and he said, you know what, our plan now is to cut rates for every single meeting that we're going to have moving into 2026. What do you think the market would have done? Would have been a Trump thing? Probably not. I just don't think so. WTF is Trump doing all these tariffs? I don't know. I'm going to I always like those memes on Twitter where it's what's the guy's name? Hide the Pain. And he's there and he says, yeah, last week I was an expert on DeepSeek and ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, but this week I'm an expert on tariffs. So I don't know. I'm going to stay away from those subjects because I'm not really well versed in them. But we'll see what happens with the tariffs. I just thought it was interesting that it was a pretty good play. I mean, I will say about negotiation. You start off as high as you possibly can, and then you kind of just whittle your way down, right? How much you want for that house? I want 1.4 million. Really? That's how much you want? I'll give you 900K for it. No. How about 1.2, 1.3? No. We'll do 1.175. Okay, deal. Same thing with the tariffs. Canada 25%, Mexico 25%. Oh, no, you don't like that? Well, would you like to secure the borders and stop the fentanyl coming across? Okay, then maybe we could work together on some other things. Sure, worked out great. Some people say that was just a bad tactic, but I thought it wasn't bad. We need tariffs, maybe. What I want to know is how much do the other countries subject us to in tariffs? Like country by country. I'm just curious. Yeah. Pokemon says, people sold worrying what Trump tariff might do, not what they actually do. You know, it's a funny thing because like in the markets themselves, everybody's speculating. They're like, oh, this is going to happen. That's going to happen. They just get out and they move around. And I find that very difficult. I just buy things when it's cheap and I wait for things to go crazy, over exaggerated, and I try to take some profits. Yeah. Export a lot, import almost nothing. The idea behind tariffs is civilization. Well, that's true. Elon said no inflation. Does this hurt Bitcoin? I don't know what Elon was talking about. I'm pretty sure there's inflation. Take a look around. I don't know if you guys saw yesterday's show. $30 for 30 eggs I had to pay for. Luis says, what probabilities do you give February to not be a good month, breaking all previous after having your, because, you know, there's a couple of things to take a look at. All right. So let's just take a look at monthly. I mean, historically speaking, like I said before, February was at -5%, now it's at -3%. For the all-time high or the bull market years, 2021, February is great, almost 50%. In 2017, it was 24%. In 2013, it was 56%. Averages out, you're looking at around 40%. So February, looking pretty good. Now, that is February. March, historically speaking, 2021 was great. 2017, not so good. But 2013, 176%. I mean, historically speaking, you could say that you can make a case for February and March. April starts to have some turbulence, especially as we go into May. However, you know, the old adage, sell in May and go away. It's because people are selling in April. Sell in May is like the 1st of May. So that first month or the first 30 days, a little negative. But yeah, but it was still good for 2017, 73%, -36%. That's interesting, and 10%. But the worst month for crypto and digital assets and traditional markets is September. It's one of only 2 months that, historically speaking, over 14 years, 15 years, is in the red. The other one that's second worst is August. August and September, out of all these months, are the red ones. So we'll see how it goes. But there is one more thing. If we take a look at, I don't want that one, ROI. ROI after halving. I don't care about you, or you. So the halving, just 1 year ago, 420. 420, 2024 was the last halving. And we've done pretty good. And like I said, like here was cycle 3, the previous cycle, as I run up to 2021. We are way, way off. And I thought we did pretty magnificent job. But look what the ROI was from here. Remember, this was May 13th, 2020. That was a couple of months after the announcement of coronavirus. So Bitcoin was around 3,000 to 5,000. So of course it ran up pretty big. Ours was already doing pretty well. I want to say around 48, 49. But we are way off. But if you do this, the 2017 cycle, it's looking pretty good. Except for recently. Check this out. We were tracking pretty evenly until around this point here, January, first week of January. And then the return on investment just went stagnant. And we've been chopping, I feel, sideways for quite some time. And there's now a divergence from the ROI of the last cycle of 2017. So before we were tracking pretty well, and now we're not. Look at that. So for me to say that February is going to be a great month, I mean, I'd like it to be. Historically speaking, it could be. But what's the narrative? Where are we at? Depends on what you think. Depends on what you think it's going to go. What else? I got lots of animals, some dumb, some smart. Must be meme coin season. It had to be 420, exactly. Eggs are the perfect example of supply shock. In 3 months, when we have to rebuild the producing hens, the supply will be back and we can short the egg market. Let's hope so. Yeah, it's like I said, I eat about a dozen a day. Sick of the mass hysteria. I'm holding on my Pengu long. All right. I have to agree. Maxwell, if you say one more thing about XAI4M, I'll ban you. And I'll leave it like this. Let's get out of here. Pokemon says, too many, I don't know. Might go down. Folks, just buy. Usually when people are pretty scared, and I can tell you the fear and greed index is probably in the fear, not extreme fear, but probably in the fearful range. There really should just be a boredom range. That's pretty much where I'm at right now. But yeah, maybe this is the time to load up. I'm not for sure. I'm not going to touch anything. Although, if we take a look at the wristbands, Sweet's looking pretty nice right now. That's it for today. So look, like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll have NFA Live. We'll talk about some stuff. But that's it for today. Thanks so much, everybody. I appreciate you. See you in the next one. Adios.